teaching, we are teaching from home. I mean, the students are learning from home. Yeah.
Okay. Normally, I think it is comfortable if I mention generally the end of academic year. The end of academic year in my country in Indonesia will be end in this month, June. It is mean that all of my friend, I think, teacher in Indonesia busy with their own business because what we call as to conduct kind of last examination. Last examination for all students, yeah.
For all students,
not only the last year, but all of the student.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? Can we start from now?
Can.
Yeah. Baik, Bapak Ibu, kita akan segera mulai karena Bu Dr. Asma sudah ada di sini. Seperti yang sudah dijanjikan, ini nanti akan berbicara banyak tentang Microsoft Teams ya di dalam pembelajaran. Baiklah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this very special occasion, I would like to introduce the speaker to you in this special occasion, I think, yeah. Her name is Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid. Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid is the practitioner, especially in learning strategies, Microsoft Global Training Partner. Besides that, Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid also as a winner, please correct if I mentioned, a Global Inspiring Women's Award 2020. She is from Malaysia. Today, Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid would like to present her paper with the title ICT for Learning featuring Microsoft Teams. Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everyone in the call today, especially Dr. Chairman of PGRI Jawa Tengah and all the teachers here. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share what I know a little bit with teachers in Indonesia, and hope that the sharing will be beneficial not only for you but also for me as I learn a little bit more about what are the condition of the usage of technology in Indonesia. So today, the last meeting that we had about 2-3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, I just introduced to you a concept or a framework on the usage of technology in teaching and learning process. All right, so today I want to continue on that note by sharing with you one particular tool that we have used a lot here in Malaysia, and that personally I think is a tool that is worth looking at. If you are looking at using technology in your teaching and learning process, this is one tool that you may want to check out if you have not, and see how you can actually leverage on it for the benefit of your students. Since your school year is coming to an end, maybe you can do some planning so that when you open next year, you have this tool available to you. All right, so let me share my screen and all right, before I proceed, let me just, by the show of hands, okay? I created a survey, but I think just by the show of hands, because there are not that many of us in the call today, how many of you have actually been using any of the Microsoft tools? Or Office 365, any of your school or any of you have used Office 365 in your teaching and learning situation? Anybody? You can raise your hand. You can switch on your microphone and speak with us. Let's have it. Let's have this session a little bit interactive. so that we won't fall asleep. Okay. All right. So anyone here?
Yes, I use that at my school.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, my school use Microsoft Teams, Doctor.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Ibu Gartatik have always joined our teachers here in Malaysia in a lot of the activities. So I think quite familiar with that. Any other teachers in the call today that are familiar with Office 365 as a whole, and also particularly Microsoft Teams? Anyone other than?
I think more of us, Dr. Asma, we use, but depend on our school. I mean the policy of our school. If they decided to use the Microsoft Team or maybe the last platform, other platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar here in Malaysia. There are so many platforms made available by the government, so the teachers are actually have a choice of whether to use it or not. All right. So today, what I'm going to share with you is something that you may want to look at and may want to consider in the next school year, of how Microsoft Teams can actually help us in our teaching and learning process. My assessment of all the learning tools are very independent, even though I'm a Microsoft Global Training Partner. But to me, a tool is a tool. It doesn't matter what brand that you are using, as long as it serves our purpose in our teaching and learning process, that is good. All right. But on a personal basis, I have tried a few platforms, and I find that Microsoft Teams is something that is a little bit more than all the other platform can offer. For example, Zoom. Zoom is a very handy, very easy to use virtual learning platform. But that's all. That's all Zoom has to offer for now. In terms of the usage of it, like for free and things like that, we can only use it like for today for a virtual kind of classroom. Whereas Team is a little bit more than that. All right. And how can you get access to Teams? In any country, I think you can refer to your Microsoft representative in Indonesia. Microsoft Teams account A1 is free for all any academic institution that has their own domain name. For example, here in Malaysia, they need to have .edu.my. I think in Indonesia, you have to have .edu and whatever the N acronym for Indonesia. As long as you have a domain name, you can apply for the account for free, which means that the A1 account, which is the online account, can be used by all your students and also all the teachers in the school. All right, so that's what makes it handy because it's free. Any technology, first round, you know, if you want to try it out, try the free one first. If you find that it is useful, then usually only we invest in it. So Microsoft Teams account A1 is actually available worldwide. Any country in the world can approach their Microsoft representative in that particular country and ask on how to actually subscribe or how to actually deploy Office 365 in their schools. All right, so that's one thing that I think that an information that you need to know. So to start off, you do not have to invest on anything except maybe the domain name. Here in Malaysia, the domain name you need to buy. It's about 80 ringgit a year that you need to subscribe to, and then with the domain name, you can actually apply to Microsoft to get the A1 account for free. All right. Okay, let me share with you. Okay, so okay, basically, I think one of the things that COVID-19 has managed to do to us is actually highlight the importance of going digital, highlight the importance of using technology in our educational sector. Right? I think in the past, we know that technology is important, but due to maybe constraint as far as internet connectivity is concerned, budget is concerned, we tend to make it into a less priority kind of thing when it comes to education. All right. But what happened, what COVID actually unearthed is the fact that, you know, technology is necessary, especially in a situation where we can no longer go to school, but schooling has to continue. All right. I think in many countries, it sort of highlight the situation of the digitalization in that particular country. Some country managed to survive because they were ready. Some countries a little bit fall behind because they are not ready in terms of the infrastructure and things like that. Like say, for example, in Malaysia, some schools are ready and majority schools are not ready. All right. So when things like this happen, we have to scramble. I think the first round of COVID-19 sort of shook us up a little bit, make us very uncomfortable. But then we learn from there, and slowly many more schools are now ready to go through, if it is necessary, to go through the same process in the next round of COVID-19. All right. Here in Malaysia, school is supposed to open on the 14th, which is next week. Again, the government has announced that we are still working from home. We are still teaching and learning from home. Therefore, we can no longer deny the importance of leveraging on technology to ensure that learning will happen appropriately. All right. So I like this particular quote, and I want to share this with you. Technology will never replace great teachers. That is a given. To me, whatever that you do, you are still very important. As educators, technology alone cannot do anything, cannot give an impact. It is us that move the technology, that design the technology so that it will impact the students' learning. All right. But in the hands of great teachers, it can be transformational. So in order for it to be transformational, we need to actually know or use technology with a purpose. That was the framework that I gave you in my first lecture. Using SAMR, we can actually decide and determine what technology can be used for what purpose as far as the teaching and learning is concerned. Right. And the second thing is that we need to be able to select the most appropriate technology for our situation. Again, a different situation will probably call for different types of technology, but making a conscious decision of what technology to use in your situation I think is very crucial in order for us to be successful with the implementation of technology or with the digitalization process of our school system. All right. So today I am just sharing with you one type of technology that's available to us. All right, and as I said earlier, it is also available to us free. All right, that maybe you can consider for your school to explore. All right, so what we are looking at is Microsoft Teams. So before that, again, when we talk about using technology with a purpose, we need to make sure that whatever technology that we choose will impact the learning process. All right. Microsoft has this research that resulted in a framework for deep learning, which they call the 21st century learning design. In that research, Indonesia is one of the countries that participated in that research. It was done in 2009 to 2012. The initial 4 countries were, if I'm not mistaken, Indonesia and Finland, Senegal, and I forgot the other one. All right. And then the next round, another one of our neighbors also joined in, which is Brunei and Australia and a few other countries. So 8 countries altogether participated in this research. And out of that research, the critical finding of that research is that in order for us to impact on the students' learning, our learning activities is the most important thing that we need to look at. Designing a learning activities that will result in the global competency or the skills that we want our students to have. All right. And technology is the main supporting factor in order for us to make, or in order for us to instill or develop the 6 global competency in our students. All right. So that is the 21st century learning design is all about. For those of you who are familiar with Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert self-nomination, which is happening now, all right, you would already have known about this. Okay, so I'm not going to go that much further on this one. What I'm looking more at today is sharing with you Microsoft Teams, all right, how it can actually help us in terms of our teaching and learning processes as compared to maybe other platforms, right? So my intention today is just to share with you the features, how what it can do, and for you to have something that you can hang on to when you decide on which platform that you will that you want to explore, maybe next academic year and whatnot. All right. So to us, for those of us who are using Teams, Teams is more than just a virtual classroom apps. Right? It is actually a hub for teaching and learning, because within Teams there's so many things that you can do. The features in Teams allow you to do that. It can actually become a learning management system. Even though it's not a full-fledged learning management system, but the features in there can actually help us do a lot of different things other than just being a virtual classroom platform, right? Okay, so let me show you on how to access Teams first. Yeah, like I said, if you have the account, if you have managed to get the account for Microsoft Teams, then how do you get into Teams? There are two ways of getting into Teams. One is you can download the Teams apps on your desktop, like what I usually do. All right, and then you can log in from the icon on your desktop using the credentials that's given to you. All right. Or number two, you can also go to office.com if you have an Office 365 account. Yeah, if you subscribe to that and log in into the Office 365 using the credential, and then from there you can launch Teams. So there are two ways of getting, or how you can actually activate the Teams apps. All right. So today what I've done is actually I've logged in for fear of something will go wrong. Okay, so this is the interface of Microsoft Teams that you will see if once you log in. All right, once you log in into the using the, let's say for example, if you're using the apps, what you will see on your desktop will be the apps like this one, right? You will usually have the icon like this. All right, and you can click on it, and then it will launch Teams, and it will from there you will get to this particular page or landing page. All right, if you are a first-time user of Microsoft Teams, the only tiles that you will see is these two. All right, create a team or join a team with a code. You see all these other tiles are teams that I have created over the years in what do you call it, in trying to teach people on how to use Teams. All right, but so if you are a first-time user, you will only have these two: create a team or join a team with a code. All right, so this is actually the first step in you creating a class team. All right, is for you to actually create a team. Let's say, for example, we have a class that we teach, and we want to create a team for this particular class, so that we will use a lot of our teaching and learning activities will happen in this particular hub. Right. So the first thing that you need to do is go ahead and create a team. I'll do this and demo this to you. All right. There are 4 types of teams that you can create. One is the class team, which is meant for the teaching and learning purposes. Number 2 is the PLC team. PLC is professional learning or working group or learning community. You can have like teachers, a group of teachers, or for example, the association that you have right now. You can create a team using the PLC, because each and every one of these type of teams have their own different features, which will serve the objective of that particular team. All right, so a class will have features meant for class. A PLC will have features meant for PLC. A staff team is usually used by the school for the administrative purposes of a school. All right, for example, your management, your finances, all of that, you can actually create a staff team to manage your entire school. And the other team is a team that is open. It can also be used by students to create, for example, teams for their extracurricular activity and all of those things. Okay, so today we're just going to look at the class team, because the intention is for you to look at what are the features in the class team, and whether you know it is something that you would would like when you consider in using technology in your class. Okay, so we're gonna create one class team. Just click on the class. All right, I'll ask you to give it a name. So I'm gonna say Jawa Tengah lah, demo. Okay. All right. So when we click that, so we name the team. All right. Then the next thing is to actually include your students or to enroll your students in the team. There are two ways of doing this enrollment. One is by doing it manually. If you have a class of maybe 10 students, then I think it's okay for you to do it manually. It will not take up too much of your time. But if you have a class of 40 students or more than that, then manually is not something that you want to consider, because it will take a lot of time for you to put students in one at a time. All right. You can also put in teachers. If you are teaching a class, co-teaching a class, I mean, two teachers are teaching one class, you can also add the teachers there. All right. Again, it can be done manually, or it can be done in another way. All right. So let's say, for example, we do not want to do this manually. We want to skip on this one, and we will add our students some other ways. Okay. So now you have created a class team. All right. And as you can see, because it is a class team, because it is a teaching and learning kind of situation, all the features up here will be related to class activities. All right. If you were to look at the PLC later on, if you can explore, if you were to look at the PLC team, they won't have this class notebook assignment and grades, because in a PLC team, you do not give assignments to your fellow teachers and whatnot. All right. So the setup of each team will be dependent on the function of that team. Right. So for this one, because it is a class team, therefore, the features in here will be appropriate to a class setup. All right. So once you have created your team, so that just now we wanted to put in students. So another way, or an easier way to add students into your class team, is by going to the setting. All right, and generate a team code. All right, so you can give this team code to your students, and they can register themselves, or they can get themselves into your class by using this code. All right. Unfortunately, I am not able to let you do the thing, because we are in a different domain name. All right. So that is how the more easier way, or the easier way for us to include our students in the class team. All right. So two ways. One, you can do it manually. Number two, you can use the team code that you can actually give it to your students, or if it's small kids, you can give it to their parents, and they can actually log into Teams and then use the code to enter into your class. Right? So that is the first step of setting up your team. Okay. If you have any questions, just shout out, and then all right. Just stop me or whatever. Okay.
All right. Okay, so, Doctor, may I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
As I used to ask you, this is just a kind of substitute. Use this team just to teach the students. Would you like to tell us how to utilize the team so it becomes level 3 or level 4 or level 5?
Okay, all right, we're going to get to that. All right, so that is the first step of setting up the teams. Now we are going to take a look at the features of Teams and see how, in terms of using Microsoft Teams to achieve the use of technology at a higher level. All right, so if you look at this up here, if you look at all the tab up here, right, we're going to go one by one, and we're going to see how this step can actually be used for you to create activities with your students. All right, so that the learning can happen. All right, if we are just in any kind of a virtual classroom, we are only giving lectures, and then when it comes to other activities, you may need to have another platform. But whereas in Teams, you can have both. You can have the virtual classroom via Teams. Then you can also have the asynchronous learning. That means the learning that the students are doing independently, all right, through Teams. All right. So the first feature in this general channel is called post. Post is something like similar to any of your social media posting. If you are familiar with Facebook or whatnot, so this is the same thing. All right. So here usually in the general channel, in the post section, we used it to communicate with our students, to ask how they are, to probably put in announcement, those kind of things. All right. Or you can also put in polls, or you can also put in assignment here. But assignment, we have a different place for assignment. But the but for the post, it is more for not to say personal, but more for informal kind of communication that you can actually do with your students. In a classroom, when we come into a classroom, in a physical classroom, when we go into a classroom, we don't start by just teaching. We usually ask how you are, how was your weekend, those kind of things. In a hybrid environment, in an environment like this, we can still do that. And in Microsoft Teams, the post section can actually be used to do that kind of thing. So if you come in and you see your students are in, or you have already scheduled for a class where your students are all logged in and you are there, instead of just jump into your lesson, you want to have small talks with your students. So this is where you can actually do small talks with your students. All right, where you can ask a question. For example, if I want to put what do you call it, announcement, I can also highlight an announcement. I can say have a good break, because this is the end of your school year. So we're going to say have a good break and see you next semester, or something like that. All right, so we can have something like this. We can actually put picture, so you can make it colorful. You can make it personalized. Let's say, for example, I just choose that one. So, when the students come in, they see something like this. It's like, welcoming them. The same idea or the same concept that we use in a classroom. When our students come into a classroom, our physical classroom, we smile at them, and we wish them good morning, assalamualaikum, or whatever. There is that kind of interaction. Okay. So in Microsoft Teams, these particular features can be used for that purpose. All right. So it is the usage of the usage of technology, trying to simulate whatever that we do in a physical classroom. We try as much as possible to also replicate it in a hybrid environment or in a virtual environment. All right. Because in a virtual environment, the challenges are more. Students can sometimes feel, let's say, for example, here in Malaysia, we have not been in school for a long time. Students can feel alienated. They want to be with their friends. They want to be with, they want to come to school to physically, to chat with their friends and whatnot. So something like this will, when we encourage them to, let's say, for example, send emoji, they can send GIF, they can, they can upload their pictures, those kind of things. So it is an outlet for our students to actually get connected with their friends and also with us. All right. So this is where the communication, the social interaction can happen between us and our students, and also between students and students. We can tell them, if it is after a weekend, we can tell them, okay, can you, probably upload one of the pictures or one of the things that you did during the weekend, if you have taken a picture. Or we can assign them, before they leave for a weekend, we can say, all right, this weekend, I want you to just capture one picture of something that you see that's very unique, so that we can show and tell when we come back on Monday, for example. So here they can actually upload and do that, and they can actually share. All right. So that's the first feature that that is available in Microsoft Teams that we can actually use in order for us to get connected with our kids. All right. Second feature, if you look up here, all right, is files. Okay, files is actually an area where you can upload your own material, or where you can actually create an activity with your students, which is online, right? Which is online. Okay, so there are two types of material that you can upload in this file section. Number one is class material. There is already a given folder here. When you upload materials into this folder, into this class material folder, you can see here read only files will go in here, which means that whatever that you upload in this class material folder, students will not be able to edit. Students will not be able to do anything to it. All right. So if things like, for example, your timetable, your procedures or rules and regulation of your class, things that will stay for the entire year that you do not want your students to mess around with, you can upload it in the class materials folder. So the students will not be able to edit. So it will be safe there. All right. But other materials, let's say, for example, you want to upload, you want to start an activity with your students. All right. You want your students to collaborate on certain things. Let's say, for example, an assignment. All right. And you want them to work together on this particular assignment. All right. So we can, for example, start off by uploading a PowerPoint. Let's say, for example, we want them, it is the first day, brainstorming. Okay. Let's say we create a PowerPoint for brainstorming. All right. And you want your students, your entire class, to actually work on this one PowerPoint. Okay. So what you can do, this particular PowerPoint is actually online, and whoever is in your class, all right, will have access to this real time, which means that if I have anybody in this class now, which I don't, okay, you can actually type on this PowerPoint as I speak. All right. So when we talk about collaboration at level 2 and level 3, shared responsibility and whatnot, you know, if we are looking at the 21 CLD rubrics, all right, we are looking at having an activity at a higher level. For example, other than just them listening to us speaking, right? We want them to actually do something, or do some thinking and do some sharing, right? So using this PowerPoint, when we're creating this PowerPoint and putting it here, and maybe what you can do is you can add slides. Okay, you can add new slides. Maybe if you have, let's say, for example, let's say, for example, 20 students in your class, you already set up 10 slides. And for each slide, you give the students, you put your student's name. For example, slide number 1 is student 1 and student 2, whoever their name is. Slide number 2, student 3 and 4, and so on. All right. So your instruction is, now I give you 5 minutes. I want you to just brainstorm on a project that we want to do this coming school year, so that we can discuss. So real time, meaning that they can actually type in the PowerPoint, even though they are not sitting in the same room. All right. Or if they are sitting in the same room, but at a different desk, and you do not want them to move around. Let's say, for example, we are using Microsoft Teams in a physical class situation. All right. Not like now working from home kind of thing. In a physical class situation, you can still use it. If, let's say, for example, you have a class of 20 very, very rowdy boys, and you do not want them to move around, so you can actually ask them to sit wherever they are, set up the PowerPoint, and they can actually participate from their own desk. All right. So this is a way, this is an opportunity for us to actually get the students to work on something on their own, and at the same time collaborate. All right. And this will actually encourage students to do the work themselves. Usually, if we put students in a group, if you have 3 students in a group, the likelihood of only one person doing the work is very high. We know our students, right? So here, they are sitting on their own desk, and you request them to actually type in their answers here. And anything that you type in here, there will be a label. Your name will be there. So if anyone is not willing to participate, their name will not be there, and they will see that, you know, oh, you did not do anything. All right. And I think after a while, when they know that, you know, each and every participation is being recorded, meaning that we can actually check the document at a later stage. That will probably encourage each and every one of our students to actually put in their work rather than just leaving it to chance. All right. So here again, because we are in a different domain, I am not able to show you how you can actually participate in here. All right. But this is actually online. All right. And you can actually type it or participate in this process at the same time, wherever you are. You can be in different parts of the world, or you can be in one room, but different parts of the room. Right? You can still contribute real time in the process. All right. So here it is encouraging. We talk about collaboration. Ibu Tatika was asking about the different levels of technology use. All right. We look at SAMR model the last time. We're looking at level 1 is just using technology to give back or to just cut and paste and whatnot. But here you are actually asking your students to think and produce. So that is already the use of technology at level 3, right? Which means that there is something that they will produce or that they will show you, right? So something like this can actually encourage our students to do knowledge construction on their own. It can encourage our students to do collaborative effort together, because you can see who is contributing and who is not contributing. In a normal situation in our class, a physical class, when we put people in group, it is very difficult for us to manage. It's very difficult for us to supervise, all right? Because there are so many groups, right? But here, if you are supposed to be writing on slide number 2, and we see only 3 people writing on slide number 2, which are your friends, and your name is not there, then we know that you're not contributing. And we can actually, ask you to just put in whatever answers that you have, all right? Because for a group work for a group to encourage collaboration, everybody must have an invested interest. So everybody must invest something. That investment is actually the answer. All right. So this is one way of using the folder or the file section in the Microsoft Teams to encourage higher level of technology use in our teaching and learning process. And the folder will be here, will be stored in our OneDrive, and they can access to it at any time. So if you are looking at teaching from home or right now, or if you're looking at hybrid learning kind of thing, the materials will always be there available for our students. All right. So that is this. So there are many, when we talk about new here, there are anything that is under Office 365, you can actually use. And you are not required to go out of Microsoft Teams to get Microsoft Word, to get PowerPoint and whatnot. You can access all those applications from within Teams. That is one of the attraction that I have to Teams, because then I do not need to log in and log out and those kind of things. Everything is actually available to me, accessible to me from within Teams itself. All right. So that can actually save a lot of time, save a lot of remembering password and all of those things. So one password, you can actually access all the apps under Office 365 and more. Right? Other than Office 365, you can also bring it into Teams and access from Teams whenever that you want to use the apps. For example, if you're using Flipgrid, you learned about Flipgrid 2-3 weeks ago. And if you're using Flipgrid, for example, you do not have to log out and go into Flipgrid if you want to use it. You can actually embed Flipgrid into Teams, and you can access Flipgrid through your Teams. All right, and it makes it easier. It makes it easier for us to organize the apps that we are using more frequent in our classroom. Everything can be housed within Teams itself. All right, so that is one tab here, which is the files. All right, so 2 types of things that you can put in. One is a class material file, which means that file that you upload that you do not want your students to mess around with. all right, that you do not want your students to change or anything, you put it in the class materials. Second type is for you to upload new materials or upload things from your computer. Let's say, for example, you have a worksheet, or you have a PDF, or you have a PowerPoint that is already, that you have been using all this while, and you want your students to work on that PowerPoint. All right, you can upload that PowerPoint. For example, here you can upload any of the files or folder, and then you can assign your students to work on it. All right, so there are many different things that you can actually do on this files option in the Microsoft Teams. Okay, I'm going to skip class notebook for now, but I want to just show you the assignment. All right, because whatever that you are doing on these files can be done a little bit more efficiently when you are using class notebook. If we have time, we'll take a look at it, because this is a little bit more involved. All right, but I want to just show you assignment. All right, so this assignment function in Microsoft Teams will allow you to give assignments to your students, and they can work on it within Teams itself. That's the reason why we call it a hub. Everything can be done under one roof. All right, so let's say, for example, I want to create an assignment. Okay, there are two types of assignment, or two types of tasks that you can do under assignment. One is assignment, which means that maybe writing, activity, and whatnot. And the other one is a quiz. A quiz usually is being given through Microsoft Forms. All right, so let's try off with an assignment first. I should have given one ID to Ibu Kartika so that we can actually demonstrate. Okay, let's say, for example, I create an assignment. Let's say English. Past tense. All right, then I give it the instruction, please write a paragraph on your weekend. Let's say, for example, this is this is going to be given on Monday, and the weekend is tomorrow. And once you have done your weekend, and you got your students to that. Okay, so now I want them to be able to write it on something. So I'm going to add a new resource. Okay, and I'm going to just put a Word document in here. All right, so everything is already set for your students. All right. Okay, then I have to make sure that students will be able to edit. So by default, they say that students cannot edit. So you need to go to the 3 dots at the end here, and you can say students edit their own copy, and they will open it in Teams. All right, so students now have edit their own copy. Then I'm going to give points. Let's say, for example, maximum points is 10. All right, and I can assign it. I can assign it to individual students, or I can assign it to students. Right now, I don't have any students in my class, so you don't see the name of the students. If you have actually added student when you set up your class, then the name of your students will be listed here. All right, so you have a choice of whether to assign it to everyone, or if you want to just assign it to a specific group of students. Again, here, Microsoft Teams allow you to do personalization as far as teaching and learning is concerned. We know that in any of our classroom, we have different levels of students as far as proficiency is concerned. We have very fast students, we're very good students, we have mid-range, and we probably have a little bit slower students. So you can, whenever you do your assignments, you can decide whether this assignment is meant for everybody, or this assignment is meant for the higher level students. For the lower level students, we will probably create another one for them, a lesser, same version, but maybe a lesser means of difficulty. All right, those kind of things. So again, you can personalize your assignment to your students. All right, once you have, then you can also give the due date. Usually by default, the due date is 24 hours. All right, you are supposed to hand in by tomorrow. But if you want to change that, you can change it. Let's say, for example, I want to change it to this afternoon, 10 June, and I want to change it to, okay, tonight. Instead of tomorrow night, I want it to be tonight. All right. And if you, for example, this assignment is something that you want to give not today, but maybe on Monday, then you can also edit the post date. So instead of 11, instead of now, you can actually instead of 10, you can actually give it a different date. All right, maybe Monday is 14, so you can change the date here to 14. So I'm not going to change that, just to show it to you. Yeah. So again, you can create an assignment to be used now. You can create an assignment to be used later, with all the necessary things that you need to, that you can put in here. All right. So once that is done, then you can assign the assignment. Assign the assignment. Let's say I'm assigning it to everybody. So the assignment is now created and the assignment is being assigned. So the students will get a notification of the assignment in the general channel. All right. I see. The assignment, if you click on the general channel, it says there English past 10 due 10 June or whatever time. So the students can actually view the assignments and they can start working on the assignment. All right. So again, it happens within Teams itself. All right. What I want to highlight to you as well, once the assignment is done, you do the grading within Microsoft Teams as well.
Yeah. Dr. Asma, sorry for interrupt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, many teachers complain that after using Team, their computer becomes slow. Would you explain this?
Once again?
Many teachers complain that after using Team, their computer becomes slow.
Oh, that should not be. That should not happen. Because Team is actually of all the virtual apps that's available in the market, Teams is actually the lowest in terms of data usage. Okay. Right? It should maybe what needs to be done is to take a look at the setup. Okay. Sometimes there are a lot of things that is happening behind the scene in our machine that slows it down.
Okay.
All right. Need to probably look at the setting of your entire entire lab computer. All right, your laptop or whatever that you are using. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So for example, okay, so here is the assignment that I gave. So whenever your students do the assignment, you will be able to track how many have returned the assignment to you, how many you have look at it and returned to the students and all. All right. Let me show you the one that I did yesterday. Okay. For example, this is something that I did yesterday on the assignment. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you can see here, this is the first assignment that I gave. You can track 1%. There was only one student in my class, so 1% handed in.
Okay.
Right. And the second one is supposed to be due today. All right. And nobody this assignment nobody handed in yet. All right. So you can actually track your students' activity or whether your students have given in the assignment or not, and you can actually remind them that the assignment is due and they need to actually hand it in by the end of today or something like that. All right. And automatically, when you create an assignment in the assignment tab, automatically in the grade, it will be captured. All right. So here it is in the grade tab. This is from my last class. I have 2 assignments, Bahasa Inggeris and also Kucing Saya. All right. And this particular student, for Bahasa Inggeris, she did the assignment and I have already marked it and she got 2 points. All right. Whereas for Kucing Saya, she only viewed it. She has not been able to do the assignment yet. All right. So the, Microsoft Teams track the assignment and be able to give you feedback on whether your students have already attempted the assignment or not. All right. So that is another another plus point to me, you know, because everything will happen in this assignment, in this portal itself. All right. Again, there is no need for you to go in and out of it. And there is another apps in here which I did not what do you call it? That I did not install or I did not activate, which is analytics. Analytics is something that will also help you in terms of the tracking. All right, it will actually, if I were to add it, but now it's too late to add that. If I were to add analytics in my teams, any activities that the students do, all right, will be tracked. So you know which students are active, which students are, are lagging behind and things like that. All right, so there are a lot of other things that you can actually install to make your teams work for you, so that you, okay, somebody is raising their hand. Can you go ahead and ask?
Okay, let me. Ibu Leli, would you please open your mic? Yeah, please. Or maybe later. Maybe later. Just go on, Dr.
Okay.
Asma.
All right. Okay. All right. Just a few more minutes left. Okay. So that's basically what do you call it? How the combination of assignment and grades can actually help in terms of making our workload a little bit lesser. All right. And the way we do things a little bit smoother. Okay. So all right, so here there is another thing that you can take, you can see here, which is the plus sign. All right, so here, for example, like I said just now, there are many things that you can add to Microsoft Teams to make it easier for you to work with other apps. Any apps that is a partner of Microsoft are all listed here. So let's say, for example, if you want to add, you are a fan of Flipgrid and you want to use Flipgrid a lot. All right, so you can actually add Flipgrid into your teams, so that anything that you want to do, or anything that you want to anytime that you want to do Flipgrid, you can actually just access Flipgrid from Microsoft Teams. There is no need for you to go and search for Flipgrid website and then log in there and whatnot. All right, you can already set your Flipgrid inside Microsoft Teams, and you can actually use it whenever you want to use it by going to Teams itself. So no need for you to go out. So that is another thing that that is good about here. So there are so many other apps that you can actually add to Teams to make it more what do you call it, to make it more manageable for you, so that you can actually maximize the use of the technology in helping you achieve your teaching and learning objective with your students. Okay, if there are apps that are not available in the list, you can actually add them as well by adding their website. Let's say, for example, there is an app that you want to use, but it is not listed here. You cannot add it directly. You can still add that particular apps. You can still access it from Microsoft Teams by adding a website, the website of the apps itself. All right, so you can put that, and you can still access that particular website from Microsoft Teams without having to go out and logging in, logging out kind of thing. All right, so those are the things that is available. This is the basic. All right, I think if you if you explore and just use this basic first, which is the post, the files, the assignment, and the grades, it will already taken care of a lot of your teaching and learning process. All right, and you can also, for example, this is the general channel. All right, you can also actually add more channels if you want to your teams. Let's say, for example, you want to create a permanent group in your team. All right, rather than using, when you go on virtual classroom, you can use breakout rooms if it is a virtual class. But let's say, for example, you want to have a permanent group for your students to work together in other kind of assignments that are not during the virtual class. You can actually do that by creating channels. All right, so channel, we can say, all right, group 1. Right, we have a channel 1, group 1, and you can make it private, or you can make it standard. Usually when we create channels like this, we make it private so that only people assigned to that channel can access the channel, not everybody in the class. All right, so again, you can put in your students by manually, or you can ask your students to come in, like what we did earlier. Okay, so now you have the first group, and you can see that there is a key here, or a padlock, which means that this group is a private group. So only people assigned to this group will be able to take a look at whatever that is in here. All right, so group can be used if we are organizing our class in groups. All right, but sorry, channel can be used if we are organizing our class in groups, but channel can also be used for other things. All right, let's say, for example, if you are teaching in a class and you want to organize your material based on your weeks, for example, you can also use channels to set up your class. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 1 material, everything will be in one particular channel. So your students can just go to that channel to find whatever that they need to find. Right, so that is another features that's available in Microsoft Teams that can be used for us to organize the activity that we want to organize. All right, so those are the basic features. All right, let me just share with you how do we map the basic features of Microsoft Teams and what we normally do in a normal physical traditional classroom. Right, let me go back and look at my we are running out of time, but I'll go quickly on this one just to share with you. All right, what we have done is that in a hybrid model means that you have your both your physical and virtual classroom. All right, a remote learning model. All right, so what we have done is actually we look at what are the features in Teams, and we look at what are the requirements in a normal in-person interaction. Right, in-person meaning physical class. All right, so if in a physical class we used to create learning centers or organize our materials and resources for our students, that can also be done in Microsoft Teams by using channels. Right, so we look at just now, channels can be used to organize your material, or it can be used to organize your students in groups and whatever. All right, and in one team you can at least have 100 channels if you want to. So you have ample channels. You can have some channels for materials, and you can have some channels for students group. All right, so this can be replicated. All right, distribute handouts and resources to students, facilitate collaboration and among students. In a class, in a physical class, we do that a lot, and then we get students to do work in group and whatnot. In a virtual class, in a hybrid environment, we can still use that using the file tab, like what I showed you just now. You can set up the document in the file tab, and you can get students to work together in the document itself, and they can work it in real time, meaning that they can work simultaneously. All right, so the effect of doing a group work in a physical environment, face-to-face environment, is not lost when you transfer or when you do the same activity online using Microsoft Teams. All right, so here again,
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
So what is the difference between hybrid and blended learning, please?
Okay, blended learning is the generic term. Blended learning meaning that you blend face-to-face, real time, all right, synchronous mode, where the teacher and the students is at the same place, the same time, and online activity, which is the asynchronous. Hybrid happened when we had this COVID-19. Hybrid means that the face-to-face is still there, but no longer physical. So hybrid is the modification of blended learning. Blended learning, face-to-face, physical, and online. Hybrid, face-to-face, virtual, and online. All right, so that is the difference. So it's like a hybrid car, right? A hybrid car, you actually a modification of a normal car. The same thing with this one, a modification of the blended approach. A blended approach is a blend between synchronous mode and asynchronous mode. In a normal traditional blended learning, the synchronous mode is in the classroom, your physical classroom, you with the students. All right, and then supported by the asynchronous mode. Yeah. Whereas when you are no longer able to go to school, the face-to-face physical meeting is now being replaced to face-to-face virtual meeting. That's the only difference. All right, but the way you set up activities, the way you want your students to get their skills and whatnot is still the same and is still relevant. All right, so that's the reason why when we look at Microsoft Teams features, we try to see how much can we simulate, how much can we try and do whatever that we have always done in a physical classroom in a virtual environment. All right, so this is an example of how that particular event effects is being captured. Yeah. Another one, let's say for example, in-person interaction, we use day-to-day interaction, conversation, dialogues, and question. Right, we go to in the class, we ask how they are, we ask them questions and whatnot. We can still do that to a certain extent, like I showed you just now, in the post tab, where you post questions, where you put in pictures, you put and you upload a video, a funny video or whatever for your students to interact, and they can do the same thing. All right, may not be 100% like in the physical environment, but still there is that element to tell our students that they are not alone. All right, they're not sitting at home alone and they shouldn't feel sad. We are here. All right, and we can still talk, we can still ask questions, we can still have this kind of interaction. Even maybe not speech like this, it's the asynchronous mode, but still there is there is an opportunity for us to still do that with our students. All right, we're not taking away that 100%. We can still do it, even though not as efficient as if we are in a real physical classroom. All right. All right, okay, these are examples of tools or apps that you can actually put in your Microsoft Teams in order for you to get your students to interact. The emojis, the color-coded filling apps, those kind of things. Right, so those are some of the things that you can add in your Teams. For example, here a school day, whether you are happy, whether you are sad, how was your weekend, those kind of things. These are apps you can put already posted on your post section of your Microsoft Teams that your students can react when they enter the classroom. All right, in person, we got lecture, we got demonstration, we got collaboration, discuss. In Microsoft Teams, you have your Meet Now, or you have virtual meeting like this. All right, you have your Meet Now, or you have a meeting that you schedule with your students. Can still happen. You can still lecture, you can still do demonstration like what I just did. All right, and you can share screen and all of those things. So that is again not taken away just because we are not in a physical classroom with our students. Okay, lecture demonstration, you can use Microsoft Teams. Okay, now distribute handouts and resources to the students, create a workplace. This is where the class notebook came in. I did not show you the class notebook because it'll take some time to explain, but you can explore it yourself. If you have an Microsoft Teams account, go in there and take a look at the class notebook. A class notebook is a more structured tab or a more structured feature of Microsoft Teams that you can actually organize your classes. All right. If you are using class notebook, you may no longer need to use the post and also the post section or the file section. All right. Everything can be done in there. Okay, then we have in person, you encourage students to participate. Then you can use the tab features. You poll students, you ask students for their opinion. You can use forms, you can use Poly. These are apps that's available in Microsoft Teams that you can use. That it can be embedded in the Teams. They can answer real time, those kind of things. Yeah. Group work, you have breakout rooms, you have channels if you want to do so. All right. You can use the breakout rooms to do group work if you are doing a virtual classroom. You can use the channel to do group work if you are doing an asynchronous mode. All right. So you can see when we plan one-to-one in terms of what we do in a normal classroom, and when we migrate to using a virtual Microsoft Teams as one of our platform. All right. Some of the activities that we used to do in a normal classroom can still be done in a virtual classroom in Microsoft Teams. All right. Yeah.
Using breakout room, how many minutes do students actually have to stay in the breakout room so we can come back it means that we can check whether they have already done with their discussion or not. I mean that if it is too long, perhaps they are bored, but if it is too short, perhaps they don't know what to do. Okay. Dr. Would you like to give us examples?
All right. For that, you have to know your assignment and you have to know your students. Okay. For like small kids, you do not go more than 5 minutes. Right? If it's a primary school kind of thing, maybe a breakout room of between 2 to 3 minutes. Just give them one small thing to do. Maybe, for example, match a picture or whatever. That can actually be finished within 3 minutes. Right? Because small kids, if you leave them in a breakout room too long, they're not going to be there when you ask them to come back. All right. But for kids that are maybe secondary school, maybe you can have, like, say, for example, no more than 10 minutes. Any kind of activity, when you put people in groups, don't go more than 10 minutes, especially if it's a virtual kind of setting. All right. Because when it is virtual, you are on the internet. You are one click away from all the other things. So if you leave it too long, if your assignment is, like, say, for example, the assignment probably take about 5 or 6 minutes, but you give them 10 minutes to work on it, right? That 4 minutes can be very critical. They may already have left you and go to another website, which you cannot control. Okay. So you must know your students. We have sometimes we have students that are very diligent. Whatever that we do, they will do it very, very, very seriously and whatnot. But we do have students are very naughty. We give them something, they probably finish it quickly and then they go and explore something else. All right. So you need to know the kind of work that you're giving to them and the kind of students that you have. But in general, if it is a primary school group or kindergarten group, who are now actually doing virtual learning, you probably give no more than 3 minutes or 4 minutes maximum. Right? For a primary school kids, maybe no more than 8 minutes. For secondary school kids, no more than 12 minutes. As far as you putting them in the breakout room, that is from my own experience. But like I said, you know your students well, you adjust accordingly, right? So that you will not, like you say, you will not get them bored and then they start going somewhere else. All right. When they leave you and go somewhere else, to bring them back is going to be a very difficult task. All right, because they are already looking at something else. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Okay, so in terms of assessment, again, there are so many tools in Microsoft Teams and also Microsoft Partners that you can actually use for assessment. You got Microsoft Forms to do your assessment. You can use Flipgrid to do oral assessment. You can do Wakelet to come up with an assignment where your students have to curate content that they put together. All right, that can actually be another form of assessment. Many forms, many kinds of things that you can actually do, whether it is a formative assessment or a summative assessment. All right, so it's available in there that you can do things with. Yeah. Okay, so here are example of assessment that you can do, summative assessment and all of this can happen in the classroom. Okay, so for example, as far as assessment is concerned, if you want to evaluate your students' participation, like I said just now, install Insight. Insight is free. Install in your Microsoft Teams. Insight will actually capture your students' participation. How many times they answer your question, how many times they type answers, everything can be captured. As far as your students' activity within the Teams itself. All right. You can have Microsoft Forms to do surveys, quizzes, whatever have you. So meaning that whatever that we do in a normal classroom, in a physical setting, can still be done in Microsoft Teams, all right, using all the supporting apps that's available there. All right, and again, it's all available in one stop center, right? It's all available in that hub that you have, yeah. All right, so these are basically the kind of things that you can have available. I think I am almost there in terms of time. All right. So again, what my intention today sharing with you is for you to take a look at how Microsoft Teams can actually be used as a teaching and learning center for you, whether you are using it as a hybrid learning virtually, or whether you are using it as a blended learning in a classroom situation, meaning that you are physically at school, your students are also there. Microsoft Teams can still be used to support your teaching and learning processes. All right, and probably to make it and to enhance it better. Like I said just now, it can actually be used to personalize instruction for your students. If you have students in your class, let's say, for example, a group of students that are very high flyer, they are high achievers, you know, and you also have students who are usually medium, right, and mediocre, and you also have students usually struggling. So you do not want to make the high flyers feel bored, because whatever that you are doing, you are targeting at the middle level, and they actually know it already. All right, and you do not want to leave the struggling students behind, because then they will not get anything out of your lessons. So by using Microsoft Teams, you can assign the high flyer students to actually work in Microsoft Teams. Okay, then you can focus on helping these other two groups. So that's what personalization is all about. That can actually happen by using Microsoft Teams to support your already teaching and learning process in your normal physical classroom. All right. So again, if you have not tried, or if you have not explored it before, take a look at it, you know, and see if it can actually help you support your teaching and learning, probably in the next school year, or you know, something that your school would like to embark on as a school solution for the entire school. Like I said, it's available free to us. All you need to do is get in touch with the Microsoft representative in Indonesia, and probably in Jakarta, all right, and talk to them. I'm sure, I know all Microsoft representatives are very happy to help you deploy Office 365 in your school. All right, so that is something that I think hopefully will help you in terms of using technology appropriately. So if we want technology to be a force to transform, then we need to choose the correct technology, one, and number two is we need to embrace the technology, know what it is for, and always remember that technology alone cannot do the work. It has to be us that design the learning, that put in the material, that put in the learning activity for the learning to happen in our students. If I just put Microsoft Teams there and tell you, okay, now you go and do use the Microsoft Teams, it will not work. All right, or you can tell your students, okay, Microsoft Teams is on, just go in and explore. It will not work. The content, the approach, the learning design is still the critical factor when we use technology. Again, technology is only a tool. Don't be afraid of tools. All right, take advantage of it, leverage on it to help our students learn faster, more efficiently, and also more effectively. All right, and to also make our work less burdensome. All right, if we can put some of those manual labor that we do in terms of capturing marks and things like that, and put it on Microsoft Teams and let the system take care of it for us, then it will lessen our administrative work, and we can focus more of our energy on our students and on our teaching and learning process. All right, so I think that's all I have to share. I think my time is also up. Any question?
Thank you, Doctor, for all the crystal clear explanation. That it is very, what we say, sometimes I was wondering how many minutes I have to give to my students. It seems that what you said is really happened to our class. All the students who are very diligent do everything that I was assigning to them, but the ones who were slow learners, and then they would have so many excuses, telling perhaps that there was no connection, and then they couldn't do this discussion with the friends. But sometimes that also happened. The fast learner also complained, because she said to me that, okay, ma'am, I couldn't do the work with them because they were too slow. And then I tried to motivate her that actually you can do it, dear, because you are the leader, and then you can ask them to do with you. You can teach them how to do it, so they will be able to like what you do. That's what happened in my classroom.
Yeah. sometimes it's unfair for us to expect the high flyer students to take the responsibility of teaching, all right? Because that's not their job, right? So what we can do here is that you put the high flyers together, meaning that they are of the same level, so they can actually work together well. Right? Yes, sometimes we do want them to help the rest, right? But
Yes.
if we can actually personalize it according to the level, then we can actually focus on the struggling ones and let
Yes,
them
yes.
do and take the learning a little bit a little bit further. I mean, for the high flyers, you can assign them more tasks or
Yeah,
tasks
yeah.
that are more challenging, right? Which can actually help them develop their own capability.
Okay, I will, Doctor.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
From me, Doctor, is there any upgrade for Microsoft Team, and how to get the team upgrade?
Okay, there's so many upgrades. There are so many new features. When I started using Team before COVID-19, it was very basic. All right.
Okay.
But since COVID-19, I think there are about 78 new features installed in Teams. All you need to do is uninstall the old one and download and install the new one.
Okay.
All right. And then you will get the what you call the latest version.
They offer or automatically will be upgraded?
In Office 365, in Windows 10, if you have a
Yes.
Windows 10 device, if you switch on the auto update, it will auto update automatically.
Okay.
But sometimes it's because of our computer setup and things like that. I just, when I know that there are so many upgrades and I don't see it on my computer, I just uninstall and install new one.
Okay.
So that make sure that I get the latest one.
Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the presentation from Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid with the topic ICT for learning featuring Microsoft Team. It is so great for me because Dr. Asma told us that Microsoft Team is a whole new experience together, teacher and student, I think, in the conversation, content, and tool team need, so they can easily collaborate to achieve more or what is it, learning objective.
Yep.
Yeah. I see the, what is it, Bu Gartati friend from other country, from Bangladesh, isn't it, Bu Gartati, in this room? Would you please
Yes,
to
okay,
introduce
Pak
them?
Sabto. Yeah, there are some teachers, some educators from overseas. Hello, Mr. Bichitro Sinha. Can you hear us?
Bu Chi.
Hello, Mr. Bichitro Sinha. Can you hear us? Would you like to open your mic so you can speak to us, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. We are so grateful you are here to join with us because Dr. Asma is sharing great experience and what we say, some new things about teams. Perhaps Mr. Bichitro Sinha also have different experience in using Teams at your school. You can tell us. So perhaps you can, what we say, share your experience.
Hello, all educators, all the world. I'm very glad to say something in this conference. That's in our country, in Bangladesh, is a small country, and it is a country that's we are not so developed in technology, but we company all educators in the world, that's Gatatik madam and another madams, they are helped to here in classroom. We start in Microsoft Team, and in doing to work in Microsoft Team. Here I attend there's and I heard Asma madam's lecture. That's I am very glad that I have learned so many things from Madam's lecture. Thanks all.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bugardati. He already finished this explanation.
Ya, dia bilang negaranya tuh memang kecil gitu, teknologinya tidak semaju mungkin negara-negara lain, cuman dia sudah berusaha menggunakan Teams juga dengan sekolahnya. Kebetulan sekolah Pak Biji semuanya muridnya itu laki-laki, dari mulai kelas 6 sampai kelas 12, 6 sampai 12. Jadi apa namanya, dia di secondary school dan itu dia sudah menjadi partner saya sudah bertahun-tahun di Skype in the Classroom. Jadi kalau ada mungkin apa namanya project-project, kita sudah beberapa bertahun-tahun bekerja sama. Ya, itu yang saya bisa ceritakan di sini. Itu Pak Sabto.
Ya. Oke, Bapak Ibu nanti bisa menyampaikan pertanyaan ya. Nanti kita akan translate. Now let's continue to the session question and answer, Dr. Asma. Ladies and gentlemen, before you ask question or give comment, please press raise hand button, and then after that we will welcome you to explain your comment or question. For the first session, I would like to give it to maybe 3 people first So please, ladies on siapa ini? Siapa? Oh, Bu Imelda. Bu Imelda. Please open your mic and ask your question. Bu Imelda. Oh. Sepertinya tidak jadi Bu Kartik. Bu Kartati, maybe you can help me. What is it? In chat room, maybe there are any.
Di chat room saya
sepertinya tidak ada ya.
Sepertinya tidak ada.
Ya. Kemudian saya juga cek di YouTube ini.
Tapi mungkin sudah jelas semua ya.
Ya, karena sebetulnya juga sudah memakai. Tapi ini Dr. Asma from YouTube live chat. Please explain the hybrid learning and blended learning belong to the teaching method or approach. From Bu Hani Madi. Jadi I repeat ya. Please explain about hybrid learning and blended learning. Belong to the teaching method or approach?
To me, it's more of an approach. Approach meaning that it's an overall approach that we take in organizing our teaching and learning process. A technique or a method is more of a what do you call it? At a lower level or on a more targeted level. All right. Let's say, for example, you are using Jigsaw Classroom. That's a method or a technique. All right. Okay. Whereas a blended learning or hybrid learning is an approach that we take in organizing the, not to say macro level, but a higher level of how we approach our teaching and learning process.
Okay. So it is approach, not method.
Not method.
Yeah. I think this is the last question from the participant, both from YouTube, also from this Zoom chat room. Okay, so we'll go to the last session, Dr. Asma. Maybe we have to end this seminar right now because we schedule it until 15 ya.
We're over time. Always that way. Yep.
So please, would you please give us the closing statement perhaps ya, to the, what is it, conclusion maybe from your paper, ICT for Learning featuring Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
So please, yeah.
I think I go back to the quote that I used earlier, right? ICT alone will not be able to do anything. It is in the hands of a great teacher that ICT can actually be used to transform a teaching and learning process. At the end of the day, the person that we want to have a very good impact on is our students. So explore as many tools as you can. And use whatever that is appropriate for your situation and that you are comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we are trying to help our students learn better, and we are trying to also expose them to the necessary skill of the 21st century. All right. So the reason for today's sharing is for me to introduce Microsoft Teams as one of the tools that you may want to explore in the future. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid. Okay, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, let's give big applause to Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid before we close this online seminar. Once again, thank you, Dr. Asma Abdul Hamid.
Thank you for the opportunities.
Thank you so much, Doctor. You always help us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Stay safe, everyone, please.
Bu Gardati, mungkin ada tambahan?
Ya. Saya masih di sini, cuman video saya nggak bisa. Saya on, tapi saya nggak kelihatan, Pak.
Ya.
Karena nggak tahu
Bapak Ibu, ini adalah bagian akhir dari seminar kita. Jangan lupa untuk mengisi daftar hadir yang.
Jadi untuk minggu berikutnya akan ada educator dari India, Miss Sebihan, yang akan berbagi tentang Pak Sabto bisa pilih mau backlit, mau bansi, atau mau coding. Yang mana nanti yang ini.
Nanti kita offering ya itu ya, mana yang kira-kira paling dibutuhkan ya. Bapak Ibu, untuk mengisi daftar hadir, pastikan alamat emailnya itu benar, karena beberapa kali sertifikat tidak dapat dikirim karena kesalahan di dalam menulis alamat. Ya, terima kasih untuk semuanya Bapak Ibu, dan sampai jumpa untuk kegiatan seminar Kamisan minggu depan, next week ya, on Thursday, normally from 9 until 11. Jadi pastikan Bapak untuk hadir. Terima kasih akhirnya, selamat beraktivitas untuk hari ini, tetap sehat. Dan mungkin untuk Bapak Ibu guru yang saat ini sedang menjalankan ulangan kenaikan kelas. Tadi Dr. Asma, I mentioned the final examination in the end of our academic year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then prepare our, report to student parents. Maybe next week we have to give the report to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terima kasih.
Alright, terima kasih. Oke. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.